Chris, Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, presented by Stakes. We are continuing our previews of football games involving SEC teams for week 3. Today, Blake, we get to Abilene Christian visiting Missouri. Abilene Christian, where I last found it, oh goodness, was I think a 33-point underdog going into this one. So Missouri, of course, had an awful performance at Kansas State, lost 40-12. I think got a last-second touchdown to make it look a little bit closer. But I would presume Eli Drinkwitz is going to have the Tigers' attention after that disaster in Manhattan last week.
Well, if you don't, then you got a problem because, like you said, it was not pretty. I told you I went out on the limb last week. I said, I think Missouri maybe keeps this close enough to, within a touchdown, something like that. The way the game started, you're thinking, okay, maybe it's going to be a bit of a grind, but the wheels kind of fell off after that. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to fix on this team, and I don't think that's surprising for us to be saying that entering week 3, but I still think it's maybe even more glaring than perhaps we thought it would be to this point. And I think that's where this is. We always say it, right? Like, this is a get right game. If you're going to figure some things out, I feel like this is your opportunity to do it. And that's not to knock Abilene Christian. They've gotten off to a 2-0 start. And, you know, it's just for Missouri, though, like, these are the kind of things you have to start figuring out because, let's be honest, right after this, you go to Auburn and then the gauntlet has started at that point, Georgia, Florida, and so forth. So I think that, offensively, what else do we say? Like, they just have to be better offensively. And until that starts happening, it's not going to take the pressure off of the defense because I don't think the defense is flawless by any means, but um, they've just got to start doing some things offensively to be in a position. I mean, and look, let's point this out too. Kansas State's a really good defensive team, and I think they're a really good team
Yes,
overall. So, I mean,
yes.
you go from Louisiana Tech to Kansas State, you say, well, they put up 52 points against Louisiana Tech. That's fine. But I think you could tell in a game like that, though, that's going to be more like Kansas State's going to be more like what you're going to see from the SEC side of things. And I think that's where if you're Missouri, that first week putting up 52 is great and all against Louisiana Tech. But I think more realistically, you're going to be playing teams like Kansas State throughout the SEC slate. So you quickly have to figure out some of the things that you didn't do well against them and really start to showcase that, I think, in a game like this one.
Okay, here's my take on Missouri after 2 weeks. I think Missouri in some spots is better. We talked about how defensively it looked better against Louisiana Tech. It did give up 24 points, but I watched that game and I liked a lot that I saw. No, Deuce Vaughn just ripped them to shreds last week, which
Right.
unfortunately, if you're Missouri, you're going, oh boy, here we go again. And offensively, the first week, I thought Missouri had some athleticism at the skill positions. Luther Burden hasn't gotten as many touches as you'd like to see him get, but he's done some things with those. They've got some athleticism at some other receivers. They've got a couple running backs who can run the ball. I think Missouri seems to me, Blake, to be a team that's athletic enough, like when you're facing a Louisiana Tech or maybe an Abilene Christian, which, by the way, Abilene Christian is not ranked this week, but it did get some votes. And again, as you said, it's 2-0, both wins against other FCS teams. And by the way, they play in the WAC, which I did not know. A far
Yes,
cry
they're in the
from
WAC now.
the WAC
Yeah.
we grew up with. But anyway,
Yes.
I ramble. I I think this is a game where Missouri is athletic enough to handle a team like this with ease. I know that's no shocker, but my worry is after seeing what it did against Kansas State is it one of these teams that can manhandle lower level teams and then you get up against the big boys and it's going to be a struggle.
And that's a good point. I think this is the kind of game like you need to like come up with a manhandling type win. Like that's I think what you want to see if you're Missouri. And like you said, I think that starts with okay, like I said a minute ago, there are obviously still problems on the defensive side. I think I may have pumped up the defense a little more than I meant to, but I think these are the kind of games though where you have to start to fix those little things that are going to really stand out when you get to the the next group of teams you're going to start playing with Georgia and Florida and those kind of teams. So that's going to be something that I think is big in this game. But the offense, it's just like you mentioned. I mean, it's you got to get Burden involved a lot because I think that's their best chance to have kind of that playmaking offense that can get you those quick points at times. That they've just got to get him involved. But of course, to do that, right, the quarterback play has got to be better to be able to be in that position. And so I think this is going to be one where, look, we fully expect Missouri to win this game, but I think this is more to me a you're watching this game more for the improvement of Missouri and wanting to
Hmm.
see how they respond to that Kansas State game more than anything. Because like I said, this is it for Missouri in terms of scheduling wise. Like after this, the gauntlet begins. And it's at Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. Like this is your last chance to start to fix some of those things. And I'm not saying it's all going to be fixed in one week, and I'm not saying it's all going to carry over when they play Auburn the following week, but you want to see some things done much better on both sides of the ball. But I think again, everything's going to start with what they can do. I think offensively, and for Luther Burden to have 4 catches and 20 yards to this point in the season through 2 weeks, that number's got to be much higher. And I just think it's going to be very fascinating to see how this offense evolves from here. Because right now, not a lot of optimism probably for where things stand at this point. So.
College football season is underway. The best place to make your sports predictions without risking your bankroll is Stakes. That's Stakes. Predict anything in the game and take the game time excitement to the next level when you compete with your friends and other fans on the Stakes app. That includes us, by the way, as we make our picks there. During the weekly competitions, you can build your prediction track record by winning competitions, earning NFT trophies for making the perfect calls. Go to playwithstakes.com/14. Sign up, use the invite code Southeastern14, that's all one word, for a double welcome bonus. Well, Blake, you made an important point there. Next layup game for Missouri is probably not coming to, what is it, November 19th against New Mexico State. So this is the best chance for Missouri to have a get-right game. And I think that's what happens. 33 was the only line I found. I don't know how stable that is. My inclination is that I think Missouri can cover that.
And that's why I don't want to be quick to overreact to the Kansas State game because, again, they
Mm.
did a lot of things well against Louisiana Tech. And, I don't know what Louisiana Tech's going to be this season, but I think that's something that, I catch myself doing sometimes is like, okay, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to take a one game sample size and go too far in the opposite direction. But I'll be honest, Chris, like watching that game, it was bad. Like they did not look good. And I think that's where maybe you do start to lean in that direction a little bit more, just because it was that bad. So I think you go back to the Louisiana Tech game, you find some of the positives that work there, which obviously when you look at the stats, they had a lot of yards on offense, where they rushed for 300 something yards. That's what you want to get back to, and that's what you want to see in a game like this one. And I think it's just trying to eliminate the mistakes, like the special teams. We had mentioned like special teams got to be better too. You can't give up the big plays. So those are the kind of things that you're going to be looking at if you're a Missouri fan in this game. And I think they certainly win this one, probably going away. And we'll see, like I said, if maybe Kansas State's just that good. And if they are, then I don't want to take anything, any credit away from them for what they did to sort of dissect Missouri last week. But at the same time, I think it's pretty clear that Missouri has some things they have to get better at. And we'll see if they can kind of put that on display this week as they get ready for the start of SEC play the following week.
We have either previewed or will be previewing within the next day every game involving SEC teams for week 3. Best way to stay on top of that is to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.